Hey Rick, how are you?
Hola, Senor Charlie. Good. How you doing, man?
Oh, hanging in there, basically. Give me a moment.
Rick, I waved at you when you came into Tom's office.
Oh, I saw you. I gave you a salute.
I hope you saw me, Phil.
I did.
Hey,
I
Rick,
did.
how was Bangladesh?
Hot, muggy.
Love
I
the
ended up,
love the traffic there, huh?
yeah, that in India, you got to have your one hand on the bell, one hand on the horn.
Oh, they live on that. I don't know how they drive. One foot on the gas, one on the brake, and they never take them off.
But when you watch the people do not look at the cars. They just walk into traffic. It's acts of defiance that it takes a couple of days, no matter what, to get used to it.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was there, they said, "Oh yeah, we have to go to the shop. It's not too far away. Maybe a half hour." 2 hours later, we finally show up. You're
So,
lucky to go when you're there. You're lucky to get through more than two factories in a day, and they better be close to each other. Otherwise, nothing happens.
so 45 minutes in the morning, 2 hours on the way back.
Yeah,
But they said they didn't want to put us up in a hotel. It was in the company chairman's house or whatever they call it.
okay.
And so they said it was security.
Which,
That I'm saying, look, here's a nice hotel.
oh, security. I never ran into an issue in Bangladesh
No.
or Sri Lanka or any. Matter of fact, Sri Lanka, I was drifting all over the place on my own. I never found it to be any situation in terms of do I have to look over my shoulder to see if somebody's going to go and mug me?
Right.
Yeah. But then again, if you're at the chairman's house, I guess the food would have been more interesting, if nothing else. I happen to
Well,
like
I
the
never,
food.
I never ate in a regular restaurant as I did in India. In my 2 trips to India, it was a different restaurant all the time. Here it was in the factory compound,
Yep.
so we never left the young one
Which
barracks. But
factory, which factory were you in?
7 different factories in Dhaka and Chittagong. It's
Okay.
part of the Young One group. It's a Korean group. Sector 2, Sector 7, Sector B.
Okay.
But we installed 7 Fireflies and 3 Douthits, CTS machines.
Right. Huh.
So the guy escorting me, Jeffrey Paul, he had to leave early because he's having a baby or something like that. So Steve Harpole and Jeffrey left after like 6 days. And I spent the rest of the time troubleshooting the machine. So it was really a machine installation visit rather than a writing of SOPs.
Huh.
But
Okay.
a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Hey, whatever works,
I know, I like that, I like the fees.
You said you were installing the Douthit CTSs?
Yes.
Yeah, I like those units.
Alas, everyone had something that broke. So
Really?
they did not travel well. It was kind of disappointing.
Huh.
Huh. I put 4 of those into scalable press, and I was happy with all 4 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Service
And
is service.
I love them.
Service from the
I
brothers
like
is
them.
good.
Just, all of a sudden on this day 2, it stops working. It turns out a module burned out. There's nothing that the Deal brothers could do to prevent, it's a modular thing they buy from somebody else. And it was the thing, not the electricity, not, it was just bad luck.
Right. Wow. Well, that was quite a haul to transport them too.
Especially over there when you see what the roads are like, you wonder how anything can survive getting in and out of a factory. I mean, it's insanity.
Well, it's got kind of narrow roads, but they fit 2 buses and a car in between, no matter what.
What I found was it wasn't so much the width of the road, it was the road itself. I mean, there were
Oh, yeah.
trenches and, especially if had water in it, you had no idea how deep that trench was and whether you were going to get out on the other side of it or not.
No drainage. So the
No.
landscape architect in me was always upset. Gee, they could fix this pretty easily. So,
Rick, how's it going on your end? How is it working over you're still living in Florida and traveling
Oh,
to
no,
Ohio?
I'm up. I am, for the time being, I'm renting a room up here in Iowa. Uh, I had just gone to Nashville in January from Scalable Press in Dallas.
Okay.
And I no sooner got there than the virus hit. So within the 6 months that I was there, I had to cut half the crew. Then they cut everybody, the entire management got a salary cut, and then they came back and did a management cut. So following that fiasco, I wound up here. Oh, and that was after I signed a two-year lease on a townhouse.
ooh,
Of course. So
Yep.
who's living in the townhouse now?
Well, while I was there with my wife, she landed a fantastic job with a company in Nashville. We can get out of the Nashville lease. That's not a problem. Since
that
then,
goes tough.
Marshall hooked me up with Tom Rowland up here at Envision. So now I am up in warm and sunny Iowa.
I like Iowa, actually. I usually go through there on my summer road trip, which of course I didn't do this year,
Just went
but
off 5 minutes.
there was no reason to. I just couldn't get out of here. I did a modified version. I flew in to see a company in Ohio and one in Pennsylvania, and then I also did my road trip where I saw one company in Kansas, one in Nebraska, and one in Oklahoma. That was my road trip for the year. Which normally I'm out for about 2.5 weeks, cover about 4,000 miles, and really enjoy seeing the country.
Right.
Not this year.
No, I take it your frequent flyer portfolio is taking quite a hit this year.
It is, that what they've done is they've extended whatever your status was for for an additional year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got home from Egypt on March 4th, and I didn't travel again until about a month ago. I did that quick flight to Ohio and then Pennsylvania. Other than that, nothing. Supposed to go to South Africa to do a trade show, which I do every year. And then my wife and daughter were going to join me. We were going to go down to Kruger National Park and do safari and jump over to Cape Town. All that went down the drain. Had to cancel all of those things off, which is too bad. But South Africa the whole African continent is actually having far more issues than we are.
Right.
I think they said for the entire continent, there are about 100 or 150 respirators, period.
Oh my God.
So you get sick there and you could pretty much tell what you're doing on your tombstone.
Oh man. And who knows when we're going to get to see a trade show again.
Yeah, I mean, I know ISS or Impressions Expo is still scheduled for January, but I understand there's a contingency plan for April. To me, I think the first one is probably going to either be the DAX show, which is going to be small, and Scott is doing it a bit differently this year. He's only doing half-day workshops, and all the seminars are going to be virtual. If he can pull it off, which he might because of the size. And then I think the first one that the ISS people would be able to really do is New Jersey, because that is a regional show versus an international show.
True.
I just can't see an international show making it this year.
No.
Or not until things calm down. And of course, biggest issue in this country, we have idiots who don't want to wear a mask. It's like, are you kidding? What the hell is the big deal in putting a mask on?
I am technically, well, actually, I'm renting a room right now in Wisconsin because I'm right on the border. I'm coming to work this morning and there's an entire bus of Mennonites that stop at my same gas station. They stopped to use the restroom. I was just grabbing my coffee for the morning. Not a one of them had a mask on. 50, 60 people in a group on a
You know what's
bus.
interesting? When you deal with the Mennonites or any of the others, the Pennsylvania Dutch, et cetera, they
Yeah.
are so inbred that if one of them, their immunities are so low that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I got my coffee, came out, doused my hands in sanitizer, got in my car, and drove away as fast as I could.
I don't blame you. John, how you doing?
Doing good. Hey, Richard, you look like the Gordon's fisherman.
Hey, he
Well,
does.
it's cold. It was 42 degrees out this morning, so I forgot I even had the hat on. Well, maybe I'll put it back on.
Well,
I started listening to the 2-second lean.
Ah, good.
I had to get past his personality, though. He was over exuberant really early.
If it's
But
too early in the
makes a lot
morning,
of
you were watching
yeah.
too early in the morning.
No, I was watching or listening at hour 15 in my day.
Ah,
I had no exuberance. So, Rick, where are you located?
I am in Dubuque, Iowa.
Oh, so you're at Tom's place.
Yes, Envisions. It's keeping me hopping.
Did he find another screen printer yet?
Not yet.
It's no better down in Georgia.
Really?
We've been looking well over a year. We even had one we paid above what he was expecting, higher than we've ever offered anybody else. And I don't think he realized he was actually going to have to print. He probably thought he'd have to
what
get
the
to
hell?
sit
The
there.
name screen printer
tell people.
tells you that you're supposed to do something.
Yeah. You know? Oh, well.
Wow.
It's difficult because anyone who's good isn't moving anywhere, and anyone who is ready to move, question is why. You know, how much
Right.
you really know. You know, to me, much as I hate it, I think the best thing you can do is just bring in somebody who has some kind of intelligence and train them.
We
That's what
actually
I'm
just
currently
hired
doing.
a new girl this week.
That's what I'm currently doing. And, you know, believe it or not, after countless interviews, which got me nowhere because there's absolutely no screen printing experience here in Dubuque Common, we wound up bringing some of the college kids in. Bingo. You know, they're listed as part-time. They're great workers. They got good work ethics. They've got an IQ larger than, you know, the average bear. So,
And they're hungry
yeah.
too, huh?
I've already got one guy that I'm starting out on the hand press. And,
You know,
training 101.
the thing to do is to go to the local community college or the university, go to the art department and tell them that you're looking for someone who wants to learn screen printing. You know,
That's a good thought.
because when I was in college, I mean, screen printing was one of the classes that were offered. I refused to take that stupid thing, but certainly, you know, it is something that's worth doing. And the thing about an artist is they have an understanding of design. So if they are going to print, which definitely is a positive situation for them down the road, it gives them skills on more than one level.
No, absolutely. That's a good thought, Charlie, because so far all we've done is our sales reps. I mean, this company is so well networked into all the universities, local and statewide, that but they've gone after all the coaches and all their current clients in the different departments, and I didn't even think of going after the art students. That's a fantastic idea.
Listen, I came out of that background, and to be honest with you, not that I wanted to get into screen printing, but it was, you know, any kind of print method is certainly worth something that any artist wants to look at, whether they're a painter or whatever, it doesn't really matter. And so the idea that they would learn screen printing is a very positive thing for some of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, that's where I would go.
I'm on it.
I got fantastic artists. I would go to the Kutztown School north of Philadelphia, and I got so regular 4 times a year I would go and teach a class how to get a job, because they were mostly teaching people so they had a core of things: the business card, the album cover, the basic 11 different things. And I'd look at that crap and say, can you show me something that you've actually drawn? And so I traded that as a way to interview people, and that's how I got my best artists in Philadelphia.
Well, you also have the Art Institute in Philadelphia, which doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But, well, in Dubuque, you've got several universities there, don't you?
Yes, we do. There's Dubuque University, and then I don't even know the names of the other 2 yet, but I know we got 3 right here in town.
I mean, the thing to do is just go into the school, put together a nice size poster, find out where the art department is and post it.
Yep. Yeah, well, I'll get with John, our sales manager, as soon as we're finished up here, and get him on that for me.
I'll send you my invoice for my consulting there.
No problem.
Sean, you ought to be doing the same thing.
We have a part-timer that is at the local technical institute.
Yep.
We've listed on the job networks for all the colleges in North Georgia, but nothing. I don't know if it's because of COVID or what, but or they don't need the money. But yeah, we actually just hired a lady, but we got inundated with a lot of embroidery this week, so we're using her on trimming right now. But next week, or actually Thursday, we'll start getting her back there and teaching her the basics on all that other stuff. And then hopefully she'll come along really fast and be a lead.
You made Marsha's morning? Okay.
Yeah. Let me find I don't even think I kept the picture. Actually, I'll just go get it. I'll be right back.
And somebody stole Marsha's camera.
Rude.
Now I'm curious to see what it is that made her day.
Just fell behind.
So what exactly are you doing at Rick? You're overseeing what? The entire.
Well, actually, I had to be perfectly honest with you. The first couple of weeks I was here, I was helping Tom in production, because Tom's actually been out running a press from time to time. Primarily training, production scheduling. Still wrapping my head around their scheduling system called Price It. A little bit different than I've used in the past. But I have had to help out in the screen room from time to time, because we've got a new kid in there that I've been training. But other than that, just managing production. The embroidery department is kind of on auto cruise, but I'm also wrapping my head around their production schedule. So I have a hodgepodge of equipment and embroidery, and then 4 M&Rs for screen printing on the floor. A 10, 2/8, and 6.
Nice.
Yep, so it keeps me going.
That's
All right. Do you want to see what she was laughing at?
yes.
Yep.
So everybody should have just gotten their new version or new monthly subscription magazine for impressions. So she was what, the editor in chief for 30 something years or something?
Yes.
Right.
Do you see the issue?
Lex, please.
Okay.
No. How do you spell fleece?
Please. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Nice.
Oh.
My wife brought that into me and showed it to me. I'm like, holy crap. So I sent it to her. I says, look, you leave and everything goes to hell.
Oh man.
Not bad.
Here she is. So Charlie, let me ask your opinion on something. If you had to take a guess, how many facilities, everything from mom and pop storefronts to major plants, what percentage of the industry do you think has gone down since, let's just say in 2020?
Percentage, I have no idea. I would just say that a lot of the mom and pop shops have probably seen their last day in this industry. You know, what I realized was the shops that jumped on printing masks definitely saved themselves because all of a sudden they became essential companies. And so they could open their doors. The problem with a lot of the mom and pop shops, they're working out of their house. And so it's difficult to be an essential business when you're out of your house, for one thing, only because how do you convey that? You know, the clients that many of them have are not major clients. We're not throwing a lot of money out, especially during this whole pandemic. And so I don't know what the percentage would be, but I would guarantee you that once shows start, what we will see, my guess, is a lot of new faces of people that want to come into the industry because wherever they were is gone. You're going to have companies that, or people that own companies that are now looking to get a job. Of course, you know, why they're not doing a better job of looking, I'm not sure, but nevertheless. But I don't know what percentage, but I mean, obviously, working out of your home, you weren't entitled, I don't believe, to get any of that PPP money.
Right.
And so, you know, they had no way of recovering, really. I mean, unless, you know, you can go through your bank account. I mean, look, I'm in that position now. I haven't worked really since March 4th, other than a couple of days. And it's brutal. You know, I being a one-man band and not being a formal company, I'm not entitled to go after any of the monies that are out there. I don't have any employees, so I couldn't do anything with it anyway. But I think you're going to find, because of other industries going down, a lot of the restaurants are going to be gone, totally gone. You know, more so than what with the screen print industry. And I think you're going to find that some of those people will drift into other industries, including ours.
Right.
You know, we are an industry that's kind of interesting. We don't have any formal schools. We don't have any formal quote unquote training. You know,
Well, I got a stack of resumes on my desk that most of the training's line cook experience.
you know, once the show does finally open, it's going to be very interesting to see who actually does come in and at what age group. I'm kind of figuring the 40 to 50-year-old age group is going to be looking to come into this industry.
Right.
I think anyone who's over 50, and they are in for a rough go. You know, trying to go into a new industry, any new industry at that age is going to be tough.
Absolutely.
I don't even think they have
Absolutely.
Walmart greeters anymore.
Yeah, well, no comment. Well, you made it on. Marcia.
I did. I figured it out. I'm on my phone.
That was definitely the way
Can
to
you
go.
hear me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep, you're there.
Hi, Rick. You look great.
How you doing? You too.
Good. I missed you. It's been like 3 years.
Yeah, I know. And now who knows when.
Yeah, well.
I'm glad where you landed. I didn't get a chance to come see you in Nashville with Jeremy.
That's all right. Not too many people are traveling any more than they have to these days.
Well, I got to find a reason to go to Iowa.
No comment.
So you're right on the Wisconsin border.
Yes, I am. Dubuque is right where Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa meet.
Yeah, no,
You take this. You take the South Bridge out of town. You're in Illinois. You take the North Bridge, and you're in Wisconsin.
Not too far from Okoboji.
I
Oh,
have
no,
idea.
you're a ways from Okoboji. Have you gone to Lake Okoboji?
Have I? No.
Oh, I have. I actually had a client that took me there years ago. I went to see him during the winter the first time. Scariest I've ever been to get on. It was snowing when I was supposed to fly back to Denver. It was one of these tiny planes. The de-icing equipment, they pulled up in a pickup truck with a ladder. And I'm thinking, I'm going to die tonight. This goddamn plane is going to just take off and drop instantly. But the next day I said, I'll come anytime you want other than the winter. So I went out there during the summer, went to Lake Okoboji.
It's one of the 3 blue water lakes in the world, I think.
Wow.
And you can buy an Okoboji University t-shirt and sweatshirt.
And pay a whole lot for it, and there's no such thing.
No, there isn't, but they put a trademark on it and stuff.
Wow.
I actually have 2 of them still.
You actually did buy some, huh? Oh, well. So,
Marcia, how's everything going at Action?
Action? Oh, we're doing great. We're still selling the heck out of face mask pallets and all of our other squeegees, the wing sled bars, the double splayed and the easy clean squeegees. I mean, everything's just going great. And it's so much fun learning about manufacturing. You know, I knew it from the mill end like you did, of course, with the apparel manufacturing, but I've never been on the actual equipment manufacturing side. And of course, there's a lot of math for this journalist that can spell but not add two non-common denominator fractions. But but I love it. I love it.
That's a cool facility too.
yeah, he's got some great equipment there.
Yeah.
Shirley, weren't
And
you
I'm
there the
glad to be
same
back
week
in the
I was?
industry.
What was that?
Charlie, weren't you there the same week that I was that the blizzard hit, the ice storm?
Where?
Were
Here
you
in
there?
Denver?
In Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, I was supposed to go there to see Eric for 2 days and then go from there on to Lyon, France to do a show. And of
Hello,
course,
did
they
you
canceled. My flight got canceled, so I did get to go to Atlanta for one
Hello?
day. I got to see Sean and Eric, and
Right.
and then went on to France. But yeah, I mean, it
Hello?
was like 900 and some odd accidents that first morning,
Oh yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, I left his place at like 1:30. I left Action at like 1:30, and the only good move I made that entire day is I went right down to the street and filled my tank with gas. 8 hours later, I guess in Norcross, and wound
Oh, wow.
I got like 8 miles in 8 hours, and wound up spending the night in a emergency shelter.
that's right. I remember you were in an emergency place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. There was some of our people at Impressions or Emerald. It took them like 20 hours to get home. So some people, after about 4 hours in the car and they'd only gone about 5 miles, got beer and went back to the office and just spent the night in the office and had beer and pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, coming out of Colorado, you just don't understand how people can have such a mess because of a fraction amount of snow. I mean, you say it was a blizzard. They got what, a half inch of snow?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but an inch of ice.
Well, the problem with
Yeah,
ice,
it was the ice built up.
Yeah, well,
the ice, yeah.
years ago
I'll tell you what, after 8 hours of driving on ice, I was happy to walk into that gymnasium emergency shelter as I would have been walking into the Hyatt Regency, just because I was getting off the road.
Yeah.
That's all that mattered.
I remember that now, Rick, because you texted me that day when you finally got to your respite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Then I was on national TV the next day when they interviewed me.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
that's
Wasn't
right.
bad.
That's right. You're on the news.
Yeah. Of course, I was so tired. I was like, can we talk to you? I'm like, yeah, I don't care, whatever.
Sean, you doing a lot more embroidery now, or are you still doing a lot of screen printing?
We're doing more embroidery right now. We just had a 630-piece contract order come through for Shane's Rib Shack, of all places.
For who?
Shane's Rib Shack. It's a Georgia
Oh,
institution.
yeah.
Um,
You get to trade
But,
some embroidery for ribs, or?
no, they don't even know who we are because we're just a contractor.
Oh, okay.
But no, we got a lot of that going on right now, which is nice. And typically around the holidays, we start doing a lot more embroidery than screen printing because the businesses are buying nicer jackets or something like that for their employees.
You still doing a fair amount of masks, or not that much anymore?
We were doing some heat transfers on masks, but we weren't doing a ton of that. I'd say year to date, we maybe sold $23,000 worth. But we didn't print any of them, just because a lot of the masks that were printable early on were crappy masks. They weren't something I was willing to put out there and possibly be blamed for a piece of crap.
Yeah, well,
So, yeah.
certainly understand that. Rick, are they doing much in the way of masks up where you are?
Well, in Iowa, it's not mandatory yet, but a good majority of the people do. Wisconsin, where the outbreak is really, really bad, most everybody's got a mask on. So, but I don't think it's mandatory in Iowa or Wisconsin as of yet.
I think some of the counties, I was watching last night, I think a couple of the counties in Wisconsin have put it out there, but it's not a statewide thing.
Right.
Who knows? Greg, how are you?
Greetings, Greg.
Your sound is off.
Shut that door because every time the door to the factory opens, you can hear all the CNC machines going. It's really loud.
Are
Hello,
you,
Greg.
You and Richard look like you came from the same place, same headsets. You're still off. Let's see.
He's undoubtedly just connecting them up. He plugged in. And there he is.
Hello, hello.
Hey, you
Hey,
made it.
Greg.
How you doing?
Hey,
Doing well.
Good. You're looking pretty good.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I need better
oh, I
lighting.
miss you. I miss you.
Hey, I miss this entire family. There's lots of people that I consider brothers and sisters out there that I haven't seen in an age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's have-
How's everything at Meg?
We are riding the same roller coaster that most people are, trying to manage expectations down the road, because when we have surplus capacity during this feast famine that we're going through,
Yeah.
we have a tendency to go ahead and print people stuff the next day, and we don't want that to become the norm. We want to go back with our nice 3-day delivery turn that they've become very accustomed to,
Right.
and not paint ourselves into a corner.
Exactly.
I'm wearing my Screen Vulture shirt.
Hey, I like that. There's got to be a story behind that shirt.
Oh, you should tell me sometime.
So, Rick, how long have you been in Iowa?
Oh, I've been here going just about 2 months. It's been it's been an interesting 2 months. I don't think anybody's aware of this, but you would think with all of my experience around M&R equipment, I'd be a little more cautious. But I was caught by a servo drive indexer one day, and it literally threw me, I'm going to say about 4 feet. And I came down with all my weight on my left shoulder and pretty much destroyed my rotator cuff on the left side.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I started, they said the damage is bad enough that they think even if they tried to operate, they wouldn't be able to do much good. So I started therapy yesterday.
Oh, you just need to tell people that's an old football injury.
You rescued a bus full of nuns.
What's that?
You rescued a bus full of nuns. It's better than a football injury.
Well,
So, talk to
if,
Keith Perkins about the shoulder troubles.
oh yeah, yeah, I know. I've already spoken to him. Yeah, he just got his second, what was it? His second operation on his second rotator cuff. Yeah, Keith's had a lot of work done. But anyway, I've been fighting through that, and we'll see where the therapy's going to take me. Rehab.
Yeah.
I just couldn't feel like more of an idiot with all of my years around these presses, how I could let myself get caught and thrown like a rag doll.
Hey, it only takes a moment to make a mistake.
No, Todd Petty always told me, man, he's like, these servo drives, you don't want to get caught by one because as opposed to the pneumatics, you're not going to stop it. He was right.
So did you buy a house in Iowa? You still got your one in Texas or Florida, or what's going on with your real estate?
Well,
All of your many real estate holdings.
yeah, exactly. When I left Texas, I brought Karen out, and when I no sooner got her to Dallas, and they downsized, and I wound up in Nashville, where with Thread FX, where I signed on, and right as the virus was kicking in and nobody really knew what it was, I signed a 2-year lease, and the virus came in, took the legs out from under the company. Everybody took a hit, including me. So my wife, while there, landed a fantastic job. So she's still there in Nashville, in the townhouse, and I am up here in Iowa for the time being, just renting a room, because until I know what this virus is going to do, I am not about to put a signature on another piece of property. And I still have the house in Florida.
Good man.
So that'll keep me hopping.
You'll eventually end up back in Ocala.
That? Oh, no.
Or Oviedo.
No, we do want to get back to Florida at some point, but we'll play that by ear.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Georgia's pretty nice on the way down to Florida, but I don't need anybody with a bad shoulder.
That can't manually print anymore.
No, manually printing, loading. Actually, when I went to see the ortho, I got ran up with a nice shot of cortisone and came back to work. And actually, to help out for a few minutes, loaded a press for about a half hour. And just that might have been mental override from the cortisone. But the next day, my shoulder told me that, yeah, that was a really bad mistake. Live and learn.
Some things you don't have to do at a certain point in your life.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I'd like to think I've paid my dues when it comes to loading the press.
Yeah, I think for the most part, most of us that are on right now are pretty much in that same ballpark.
Exactly. I'm in the twilight training phase of my career.
It's one thing to load a shirt and to push a squeegee once or twice, but it's something else when you have to actually do it all day long or even for any extended period of time.
Yeah, exactly. What's also disheartening to me is when I see places like when I was at Scalable, we had 150, I'm going to say about 150 Brother GTXs. And everything was so systemized, everything was barcoded, that we would be bringing people in off the street and introducing them to the GTX. And all they would have to do is pick a garment up off of a cart, scan it with a barcode, that would bring up the graphic on the computer, load the shirt onto the platen, teach them how to do that, and hit a button. So we had people that would be printing shirts within an hour and a half of being hired, having no idea about how it worked. And I just feel like that's kind of a, as everybody here knows, there's a science behind what we do. There's a technology. Some people look at it and think, well, all we got to do is pull a squeegee and press the ink through the screen onto the shirt. Now, there's a lot more to it than that. And I think some of the, when I was at Scalable Press and I saw people being thrown into those positions on DTG machines, I just think that takes away from some of the, from somebody's ability to learn, because they didn't want them to learn, they just wanted them to produce garments. So they're basically teaching people how to run an inkjet machine, and there's no knowledge acquired by anybody in the facility. You know what I mean? Yeah, Charlie, you know what I'm trying to say.
I do. And the whole thing is, do you really need to learn how to push a button? And the answer is, of course not.
Exactly.
And that's the unfortunate thing. I had Scott Fresner on a couple of weeks ago, and we were kind of talking about some of the older days where you actually had to go in and actually do some R&D work on your own to figure out how to get things done.
Right.
And many of us on right now went through all of those things. I mean, I know I started in '76, and I think most of you guys came in somewhere in the '70s to early '80s. And, things were still exciting then. I mean, you actually could come in and master how to do something, and you were part of that group that just kind of moved this industry forward. The idea of just coming in and learning how to, you know, scan a barcode and hit a button, that'll keep my attention for about 30 seconds.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, that's how I fell into this industry. You know, I was taken out to a barn in Tip City, Ohio, and asked to load an old 4-color hydraulic oval. And I think it was somewhere, it wasn't too many years after I started in 75, but it wasn't too many years after that. Richard, maybe you can answer this, because this is when I think I fell in love with the industry. When was monofilament polyester introduced?
Well, it'd still be in the 70s, but it was
Okay.
still new at the turn of the 1980, let's say.
When we went from multi-filament, I guess it was silk. When we went from multi-filament, 6/8, 6XX, 10XX, 8XX, what have you, to monofilament polyester is when I really started to fall in love with the science behind screen printing and how the inks flowed and what effect did tension have. And then when the roller frame came out, that was the nail in my coffin. I wasn't going anywhere, because then I was completely in love with the process.
I bought a set of the first roller frame. I bought a set of the first roller frames when they had the SPA show in Hollywood, Florida, and you were sent up to one of the hotel rooms where Don Newman was up there. He had been working with the Podger Company at that point. You had an allotted time that you had to go up and see him. And I remember buying a dozen of them, and I went there with a friend of mine from England, Harry Tucker. So he bought a dozen, I bought a dozen, and we watched the guys from a graphics company in New Jersey, huge company. They were blown away because the frame that he was showing them had 15 newtons of tension. And it was like, oh my God, 15 newtons. They bought $10,000 worth of frames that day. So both Harry and I looked at each other and figured, oh, what the hell, we'll give it a shot. We'll buy a dozen each. When I went to England about 2 years later, his was still sitting on the side collecting dust. Mine, I got to the shop, still couldn't figure out how to use them because they don't resemble what we have today. Nobody knew anything about the corners. The opening slots were too tight. Getting it to 15 newtons was a chore.
Right.
And of course, nobody owned tension meters because what the hell, when you stapled your screen on, all you had to do was drop a coin on it and see how high it bounced. That's when you started to realize when you actually had a tight screen, the coin didn't bounce. It would just kind of go thud.
Mm-hmm.
I was stretching California Northern Pine rope and groove squeegees from Western Supply back in the 70s going into the 80s.
What was his name? The young man that passed away from Western Supply. They were the precision distributors. And,
yes.
His father owned the company, and unfortunately, he passed away of cancer early in the going. I forget his name now. I'd have to check with Gavin Kidd or one of the guys, or Bill Wayner.
I would know.
But yeah, Cord and Groove. I bought Cord and Groove and tried that once. I think I split the screen, so I gave up on that.
Oh man. Yeah, when I got my. What's that?
Greg was saying something. I couldn't hear him. No.
Hello.
There you go. You're on.
There you go.
Okay. It's really interesting that you were talking about the multi-fabric, the 10XX, 8XX, those types of things.
Yeah.
It's, as you talk about it, it's like our industry started as a craft, and now we're coming full circle to where silk screened items at flea markets and those types of things are really seeing a resurgence as a craft and in art classes and those types of things. So I just want this group's opinion. When did we go from a craft to a science? What transitioned what we do from a craft to a science? Anybody want to throw something in?
Yeah, I would. I think when we started doing more four-color process work, which drifted in earlier. I mean, I think I did my first four-color process job in about 77. I know Bill Wayner was doing it. At that point, I don't think it was considered a craft anymore for that specific situation. But prior to that, I mean, the norm was to do, well, quote unquote, vector type work. Not that we had software for it, but it was all big, flat, hand stippled camera work in the bigger shops, but a lot of the smaller shops didn't have cameras. You know, it was press type and it was zipatone.
Zipatone, yeah.
Zipatone halftones.
Letraset.
Yeah, all the Letraset stuff. I mean, I still have some of it downstairs. I kind of save it. I should probably send it to you, Richard. This way you can add it into your museum pieces. But I think it drifted away from being a craft a little bit, but it's still a craft even today. It just depends on your approach to it.
I think to back you up, Charlie, that one of the areas that brought us from a craft into an industry was when, in regards to four-color process and tension, bringing the roller frame bringing retentionable frames back into the picture, is when we were able to start to control the dot. Because, you know, we were printing dots before we realized, you know, what dot gain even was.
Yeah.
And then we learned how to measure dot gain. And then once we got higher tension, we were able to control that dot and adjust our separations accordingly. But my opinion.
You know, I still think we're going through a lot of that same situation. I think, you know, everyone now has a computer and has Photoshop. And so it's like, oh yeah, four-color process, no problem. Here it is. They have no clue what they're doing. They don't understand anything about dot gain. They don't understand anything about dot shape, but they do have the software. And so, of course, why would I go to more than 4 colors if I can just hit that button and have my artwork come out perfect, which it never does.
Right. You know, it's,
you know, I still have, if you remember when Femore came out with that whole book on, with all the different halftone shapes and angles and all of that, I forget, Alex Zuckerman was the one who put it out there, and he had a guy by the name of Joel Garneau who had put this whole thing together to determine how to eliminate moire patterns and stuff. I actually was down in my basement. I found 2 of these big loose leaf things.
Ooh.
Huh?
You've got 2 of them. Good. I've got 1 downstairs.
I have 2 of them. You know, it's the type of stuff that if you showed it today, no one would understand what the hell it is. But they were pretty amazing pieces, the way they were all put together. Be kind of fun to pull out some of that stuff and see how much of it really makes sense in today's world. But you have one of those as well, Richard?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, I thought they were great back in the day. Of course, confusing as hell. I mean, they were really technical. And, you know, when you have an art background and not a formal training background in terms of separations and stuff, it was difficult to work your way through, other than you could probably play with it and know if you were going to have a moire or not.
Mm.
In today's world, it's a bit easier using mesh panels because you know that they can square up correctly.
In the late 90s, I think it was 96, I did a lot of work for Femore and actually taught how to use that kit. So I was well versed. I was also Steve, the race driver at Lyon, and also Dallas that same year.
Can you still wear that driving suit?
No, no.
Yeah.
Charlie,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
You were talking about people thinking they know how to do foreclosure process or whatever, and they really don't know what they're doing. But clearly, the you-do is teaching them everything they need to know.
You know, so somebody posted online the other day, want to get into the industry, what should I do? And my response was, do not view YouTube.
Yeah.
I think it's
Or
one of
buy
the
a cricket.
worst things for someone coming in because they haven't got a clue as to what is real and what is fantasy on that. And there's so much bad information on it. And
Yeah.
that's the problem. If you don't know what you're doing, then you have to assume that everything that you read is correct. And the reality is it's not. There are people posting on here that have been in this industry for all of 3 days. Really? And I'm supposed
Yeah.
to accept the fact that you know what you're talking about? I mean, I'll go on periodically just for the hell of it and look at some things, and it's like, should you really respond to somebody that's on there saying this is total bullshit? But that's not my job, so I don't do that. When I see someone who does, ask a question like that, I don't even post online anymore. I just tell them, just email me and I'll get you information. But there are way too many smarter people than I am online that I don't care to fight against.
That's
Well, it's almost something that you can't battle with all of the screen printing groups on Facebook and stuff, and all the misinformation. I mean, those of you that are experts, it's almost like Charlie says, it's like I can't even jump in here. There's just too much going on, too much misinformation.
I noticed that there are some people that respond instantly to everything going on. My question is, if you own a goddamn screen print shop, what the hell are you doing online?
Do it on Facebook.
I mean, aren't you actually doing what you're getting paid to do or what you own, as opposed to answering all these wonderful questions online? Blows me away.
A good point.
Maybe I'm just one of the old timers at this point. I'm not sure.
I was on one of these websites a number of years ago, and this kid wrote there was two different posts. One said, I no longer need to read another article or attend another seminar. I know everything I need to know to be successful in textile screen printing. And I thought, my God, really? And then there was another one where a kid was obviously a noob. He wrote in and said, one kid said, what do I have to do to successfully print on a 50-50 red cotton jersey knit? And another kid replied, stretch up a 60 mesh screen, photograph your stencil, and then using a white ink, print flash, print flash, print flash, print flash, print flash, and repeat. And I'm like, for the love of God, you've got to be kidding me. And I thought it was everything in every fiber in my being to stop myself from replying to that idiot, but I didn't do it. I let it ride, turned the computer off and walked away.
If you had responded, he wouldn't have listened anyway.
Nope, not a word.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, that was definitely the right answer. So I can remember back in the day when we would go to the SPA show.
Yeah.
And everybody would get all excited because it was the only show until ISS started. And then there were 2 shows a year. And you would kind of bring some of your stuff with you to show what you'd accomplished during the course of the year. And you were more than willing to sit down with a group and have roundtable discussions and discuss what you did and how you did it and exactly how you put it together, et cetera. They were exciting times. And I don't know when anybody went to their first show. I know my first one was Anaheim in 1977. And I remember in 78, when the textile division met, we actually met in the evening and went on till about midnight. And I remember Mark Vennett was the wizard, and there were questions that were thrown out, and he had his wizard costume on. And if you answered correctly, he gave you a crisp new dollar bill. And so, of course,
Wow.
oh yeah, I mean,
Folded into a T-shirt.
absolutely. I still have one actually hanging right next to me, and I just, stupid me. Oh well. But I have one of his with one of the gold T-shirts pinned through the middle of it.
You know, I can't believe you brought it up, Charlie. My first show was Hollywood, Florida, SPA.
So that was 78 or 9.
Oh, like I'm gonna remember.
It was either 78 or 9. There you go.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Let me
I visit a lot of shops and I see fewer and fewer of those. They used to be all over the place.
here's
Richard, you don't have one?
Just downstairs in my office,
mine.
pinned on the wall.
I don't know, Greg, I don't know if you can see it, but mine has that gold T-shirt in the middle of it.
Yep,
Yep.
I see it.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah. There are some things you just kind of hold on to. But yeah, that was interesting. Excuse me, interesting times. I got
Hey,
else on my hands. Oh well.
I got a dash. I got to see a man about a dishwasher.
You what?
Let's see a
I got to
man.
see a man about a dishwasher in my apartment, so I got a dash. But it's great seeing you guys.
Hey, it
You
was
too, Marcia.
Want to see you in person soon sometime.
That would be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, y'all take care. I'll talk to y'all again soon. I'll be on most of the podcast listening.
Flex bliss. Okay.
All right, I'll check you out later.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh well. So Rick, I understand Michelle. Remember the photo that we had done during my open house years back of
Yes.
the group of us. I understand Michelle Kaza went in and enhanced the image. So
No.
I need to write him to see if he can send me the enhanced image. I'm actually trying to put together a screen print book, and that's one of the things I want to put in there is that group shot. I can
Oh, that
use
would be-
probably one from out of the magazine, but I mean, it's just such a bad image that wouldn't be too much fun, but if necessary, I'll go that way. Yep, that one. It looks
Good
good on
God, we
your
were
phone,
so-
but as you bring it up in size, it just kind of dies, unfortunately.
Good
That
Lord,
was,
we were so young.
Wow.
Oh, you haven't seen that, Greg?
And a long, long, long time. I have seen it before.
Andy Anderson, Bill Wayner, Gavin Kidd, me, Don Newman, Charlie, Michelle, and Coudray.
Yep.
And actually,
that was a
think-
fun thing. That was the round table on 4-color process. And if
where we got no questions.
if we couldn't answer the question, I don't think anybody else could have answered it anyway. Although Mazza could have probably sat there on his own and done the whole thing.
Absolutely. And as I recall, all those Coke cups had very fine wine that Michelle brought from Lyon.
You know, it's funny. I said, Michelle, what's it going to take to get you to come to the open house and speak? He said, a bottle of wine. So on the podium, I had to have, so I checked with Alex, and it had to be a bottle of Burgundy,
Ah.
which I have to admit, I'm a fan of myself. I'm a big Burgundy fan. But yeah, that was fun. Long time ago.
Do you remember I don't know what happened to him. Brenton,
Brent Bruns.
thank you.
Brent Bruns, of course.
Brenton
I
Bruns
don't, I don't know
roller
what
bar.
happened. I actually sold a bunch of his machines, but he slowly drifted away. He was ex-military, and I don't know what happened to him. He just kind of fell off the face of the earth at one point.
Do you remember the roller bar?
I actually printed on that at the ISS show for 3 days doing a 4-color process job and never wiped the screens.
What?
He had a small one, but you can only do cut parts on it. You couldn't do a finished garment. So he hired me to work for him for the 3 days of the show to just print. And of course, printing was easy because you didn't have to touch anything. All you had to do is hit the buttons and the roller bar would move. And because there was no tension, you didn't need tension on the screen. Same way on the big rotary machines that use roller bars. Because there was no real tension, it didn't really matter because you were rolling over it. You weren't creating any kind of friction. And so I ran that for 3 solid days of a 4-color process job. If you looked at the first print and the last print, they pretty much were the same.
Printing water or plastisol?
I was printing plastisol. I don't remember where the show was, but it was on the East Coast. I know that. But I did go down to Malden, South Carolina to see him initially. And he kind of took me through the whole thing. I mean, it was a great idea. The thing was, it had such a huge bottom to it that you couldn't put a t-shirt on. If you could have,
Right.
an ideal situation. And then depending on how much ink you needed, he had different thicknesses of roller bars.
Echo, stop.
Huh? So, if you wanted more ink, you had a bigger roller. If you wanted less ink to go down, you went with a thinner roller.
Wow. Okay. Well, I never got to play with one. I've had flashbacks of, didn't he try to do a demo at an SGAI show or SPA show in Indy that didn't work so well?
Could be. I can't recall. Then again, I
Yeah.
don't know what I had for lunch yesterday either. So
He also sold an early version of an 11 by 17 inch laser printer in the early 80s when such a thing
Really?
was heard of. Yeah,
and
it was
Wow.
a gigantic laser printer. And
his
he
press,
specialized in jackets.
I sold a couple of his manual presses. You needed a crane to move the damn thing. Okay, so I sold a bunch of them, especially to one company in Colorado Springs, Marty. I think when he was moving out of his place, he could use it to knock down the walls. Thing was made of 2x4 tubular steel. Everybody else is on 1x1. He was on 2x4 heavy tubular steel.
It had to weigh a ton.
Yeah, it did.
Literally.
I mean,
Greg, do you still have your museum in the back of the shop, or have you moved most of that?
Actually, last fall, we brought in 3 great big 12-yard dumpsters,
Oh.
filled them all,
Oh.
and we held on to some of these screen printing antiquities,
There you go.
but many of them are gone and converted to cash.
Richard, you've been to Greg's, right?
Oh yes, many times.
Yeah, he had some great toys, some great old toys in the back of the shop, man. Well, I'm sorry that some of them had to go, but I'm also glad to hear you hung on to some of them.
Yep. That's the problem with having available space. You tend to fill it up.
I know my wife says that about me in the basement. One of these days I got to actually, well, pretty soon I have to go through. I've got a ton of magazines that I need to dump off. So
Well, you better check with Richard on that.
figure out which ones you might want. I still have some copies of the old Press magazine and who knows what else. I've got to go through the boxes.
Well, Richard's been dubbed the honorary industry librarian, so
Yep.
He's the keeper of all sacred knowledge.
I'll have to go through and see what I can, what sounds like it might be still interesting enough.
You know, what really pisses me off is I'm pretty sure that, because I know I had it, I had all 6 3-ring binders of the SGAI or the SPA technical guidebook.
I have them.
I don't know what happened to them.
I got a couple of them.
I
couple
have,
sets.
Yeah, I think I've got 3 sets.
Yeah, and I also have the troubleshooting manual, because I was one of the people who wrote that. And so I don't know, you have a copy of that, Richard?
I probably do, but
They
it's
flew us
one of
into
those.
Savannah or one of those places. They locked us in a room for 2 days and made us go through this whole thing and answer all the questions on it. I think we went out for dinner once, but I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Now, all that SGIA stuff is extremely important because they pretty much abandoned the technical literature on the website, which I've been knocking on the door. I spoke to Ford Bowers back before the COVID started and saying, you know, it's been a year since the new website went up and still we don't see any of the technical guidebooks or any of the technical articles are there, all sorts of news releases. But if you look up Kaza or Kudre or anybody that wrote for SGIA, there's nothing there. So he connected me with a guy in Philadelphia who's in charge of the data boys. So he's not the librarian, but nothing has actually happened. And I emailed him once a month, first of the month, saying, you know, what's happening? And it's just that the stuff is gone. Now that's been more than 6 months that I've been writing Chester in Philadelphia every month, giving them the needle. So don't throw any SGIA stuff away. There's some real gold there.
Yeah, I do have some of that. Being a pack rat, it's part of the game, and I'm going through my stuff a little bit at a time now. I still have I still have a photo of myself, Andy Anderson, and Kudre from the first Golden Image or Golden Squeegee Awards, where between the 3 of us, we took gold, silver, bronze. I know that image hung in the, my shirt hung at SGIA headquarters for many years. There was a little thing of KISS, and went back 1 year and they had cleaned off the walls. So what'd you do with the piece? Oh, that went to the trash.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had, not that it was anything to write home about, but one of my first attempts at 4-color process was a movie release shirt for the movie Swamp Thing. And no great technical accomplishment, but I did do it right after Don had pretty much gotten popular with the retentionable frame. And it hung in the Newman booth for a number of years.
Yeah.
But of course, after they stopped hanging it, I went back to try to find it. And now it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Gentlemen, it's been fun, but I need to get back to work.
and I think we were all probably in the same boat. So it was wonderful having you guys on. Rick, thanks so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ray Smith on in a couple, and actually in 3 weeks, because I'm not going to fight against.
Election day.
Well, you know, doing it in 2 weeks, we put it right on voting day, which is not a good time. So it's going to be the week after that. But I'm going to be doing a thing with him, with Ray Smith this Friday with the Poly One crew or whatever they want to call themselves nowadays. Avian. Anyway, if you get a chance, I'll be on. I don't know what the time is, but I'm sure we'll post it. In any event, good seeing all of you. Rick, good luck where you are. If I
Thank
do
you very much.
come out there, I will stop by. Hopefully, hopefully you get your shoulder worked on and recover from that.
Please
Sean,
do. Swing by if you can. Dubuque will never be the same.
yeah. Sean, if you get a chance, come up on Ray Smith's thing this Friday. Richard, have a good one.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
Sean, good
Bye-bye.
seeing you. Take care,
You
guys.
too, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.